Hey everyone, I'm Kelly, and today we'll be going through a PSD created by a good friend of mine. This piece is called the Huntress, made by Shadow. I put that information as well as two really cool GFX communities on the screen. If you find this video to be helpful, you may want to check those communities out. So here's the final products of the piece we're going over today. To begin with, she started with a dark blue background. Then she added a C4D, which she simply moved in the area she wanted. She didn't resize it any. As you can see, it's still the same size as it was originally. Then she added a clipping mask hue saturation adjustment layer. And this is what she did. Then she added another C4D. As you can see, this one is over top of the other. Another hue saturation. Now, so far, everything is blue, purple, and shades of gray and white, and black. So you can see she's setting up the composition. Another C4D. And this time, she makes it gray and black. And then she applies the image and blurs the background, but she only blurs the top. As you can see, the bottom is still mostly unblurred. And then she darkens parts of her background. Indicated here, she didn't darken everything. And she added in a render. So far, you can see that she's going with a theme of purple, black, gray, and she set up her composition very well. Then she adds a C4D in the front, so this adds a very tiny bit of foreground effects. And then hue saturation to make it a gray-black. And then she adds in these orb bubble effects. These are also some more foreground effects. They also add a nice touch to the piece. And she put these on lighten. You could also put them on linear dodge add if you wanted it to be brighter. But she put hers on lighten. And she erased the parts that she didn't want, indicated here. And she added it again erased the part she didn't want, and it's still in lighten. And then she added a black to white gradient map on soft light, 25% opacity. And then she dodged and burned the piece. Now this is a neat trick. What you do is you add a new layer, go to edit, fill, 50% gray. Okay. And then you can set it on either overlay or soft light. And then from there, you can dodge and burn. So as you can see, I am dodging and burning the areas that I would like to. See how it got lighter? And it's only on that piece. This is something helpful because a lot of times people apply the entire image and dodge and burn on the image. But then you've committed. What if later on you don't want this orb down here? You have to go back even through the applied images. So this is a good trick to do, to not have to commit to an applied image. And you can see that she darkened the areas that were quite light. And then she added a physical gradient map using the gradient map here. Black on the bottom, going to white at the top. And this is on lighten at 55% opacity. And then she added a curves adjustment layer, just to darken the piece overall. And then she added a ton, I emphasize a ton, of adjustment layers. It looks like dodging. And then she added a photo filter. She density at 5%, cooling filter, everything else normal. Then she added hue saturation, which didn't really make a change at all. It possibly made something subtle. Or she might have reversed it and forgot to delete it. Selection, she brought out the parts that she wanted light, like lighter. This is on 75% opacity. Then she used curves. Something people don't often know about curves is that you can use several different layers here, and they all add specific things. So in the end, you can see which one she did where. You can see that this kind of gives it, it kind of blurs parts that she doesn't really want to be over emphasized. Oh, and that's all on normal. Oh, I lied. That's 40% opacity, but the rest is normal. Then she used selective color, which changes it very subtly. I don't really see where. Sorry. And then she added curves. This kind of gave it a exposure kind of look. And you can see again, she worked with all of them, not just the original. And then she added color balance to give it a red look, then channel mixer to give it a red-brown look, vibrance to kind of dull out the red so it's more of like a lighter red, and then she made it more maroon with a selective color. And then she did a gradient map. Here's how the gradient map looked. And this is on 30% opacity. And then she did color balance. So she's slowly moving this from like a red to blue, so she was probably having a hard time deciding what to do. Then here's a gradient map again, and here's how that one looks. So you can see she really wants to kind of keep with like a red theme, but also keep the original colors of her piece. And she adds a brightness to contrast, a channel mixer, selective color, and curves. This time with the curves, she only worked with the actual RGB layer. She didn't work with the others. Selective color again. She uses that a lot. Photo filter. This is a green photo filter. And then she had a hue saturation to bring out the parts that weren't really emphasized as much. Color balance. Now she's using kind of like an exposure look to this again. And selective color. Selective color brought out the parts that were kind of dull and white, and she made those lighter. So if you look just at the white part of her chest and her cape, you can see that that gets more vibrant. The curves, again, this is just on the RGB layer. So that's all of those. Then there's 3 more. She did selective color again and made it blue, so apparently she didn't like the red. Stuck with that. And then she had selective color again, and curves. Again, only working with the RGB layer. And that was all of her adjustment layers except for one at the end. Then she sharpened areas that she wanted to sharpen. So it looks like she used high pass maybe, and just erased everything she didn't want sharpened. So she sharpened this part here of her render, mostly. Then she applied the image and blurred parts. Then she darkened the edges. This is something nice that I do with all of my pieces, because when you darken the edges, it brings out your focal point more. For instance, here she has a lot of detail around the edges. But when she darkened the edges, it brought your eyes closer to the center as opposed to the sides first. Then she added curves to emphasis on the darken. And then she added her text. She added shadow using Birds of Paradise regular at 24 points. And the effect she used was a 1 pixel dark blue stroke, normal everything, and this gradient overlay on normal. And then the Huntress, she has in Visitor TTT to BRK regular. This is actually used more often than you'd think. And this one is also used in a dark blue gradient map. Dark blue stroke, 1 pixel, 100% opacity, and the gradient map is here. So she used the same thing for both of them, it appears. And she added borders at the top and bottom only. And she contrasted, so probably what she did is went to image, apply image, auto contrast. Let's see. Oops. My bad. So delete the image, apply image, and let's see if that is what she did. Auto contrast. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But that's something you can think to do if you'd like. And then here's the finished product. Hopefully you liked this video and it was informative. And as I said, if that helped you, you might want to check those 2 websites out. Have a great day.